Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the hardware effects on the Rane 64 mixer. Now the hardware effects are pretty much the same as on the 62 mixer and the 68 as well. And I've already done a video on the 62 mixer as well, so I'm not going to get too deep into the effects since they're all the same. You can see the other video on how they sound, but I will go through pretty much every one of them, but not as detailed and in depth as on the 62 video. So here we are on the Rane 64. You have your hardware effects over here underneath the screen. You have your built-in auto filter, flanger, phaser, echo, robot, and reverb. Now, as with the 62, you have different options for each type of effect. Not all of them, but for most of them. So if you hold the shift button down right here and then press, say, filter, for example, this will bring up a menu with the different type of filter effects that you can choose from. You have low-pass filter with a low sync, low-pass filter, high sync, high-pass filter with a low sync, and a high-pass filter with a high sync. Now, the difference between the low and the high there at the end is basically low starts off filtered and works its way down to unfiltered. High starts off unfiltered and works its way to filtered. So it's just basically where in the LFO cycle the filter starts. So we're going to take a listen to all of these different ones quickly. So let's just start at the top with the low pass filter, low sync. Okay, now in the way the effects are engaged on the 64 has been updated as well. Previously with the 62 and the 68, engaging the effects could be confusing and tedious because for certain effects you had to engage them in different orders. Now with the filter, flanger, phaser, and the echo, not the echo, just the filter, flanger, and phaser, basically the LFO effects. When you turn the on button on, that resets the LFO cycle so it starts at the beginning or the top of its LFO cycle. On the 62 and the 68, it didn't do this. And when you turn on the on button, because most people are used to Pioneer mixers, so you have the big yellow, orangish round button right here to turn on the effect and turn it off like that. That didn't work quite the same on the 62 and the 68, and that confused a lot of people. I really didn't like it either. I'm used to Pioneer mixers as well. So they've updated it to make it more Pioneerish, I guess you could say. And so when you turn the on button on for the filter, flanger, and phaser effects, it resets the LFO and starts at the top of each cycle, so it'll always sound good and on beats and on cycle count. I guess you want to say that. But getting a little off here and there, so let's play a track right here. This is going to be X Squared by Electric Soul. It's a classic Detroit electro bass, electro funk track right here. And we're going to take a look at the filter effects. Okay, so we're going to gauge the filter. And this one is one that you can use the on button on. So normally you're going to press your flex effect button on each channel, which one you want to affect. We're playing on this channel right here, so we're going to gauge that one right here. And you're going to use the beat button over here, or the joystick, to toggle between the auto loop length that you want to do, or the length rather, not the auto loop length. So we'll start off with an 8-beat filter. Let's get it on count. And this is your wet dry depth knob right here, which I should have started all the way up. Okay, let's go down to 4. See, with the low sync, it starts off fully filtered and works its way to unfiltered. So if we go shift, filter again, let's go down to the next type, which is low pass filter, high sync. This will start off unfiltered and work its way down to filtered. Okay, let's listen to a 2 right here. Okay, so let's do a shift filter again. Let's take a look at high pass filter with the low sync. And let's start off with 16 on this one. Okay, let's do this a little long. Let's go back down to 4. Okay, shift filter again. Let's finally look at high pass filter with the high sync. Let's go down to 1. Okay, so that was the filter effect. Let's move over to flanger. And again, this one has different types, so hold shift, press flanger. That'll bring up the menu between the different types. You have a negative feedback flanger and a positive feedback one. They sound quite different. Basically, the difference between the two is with a negative feedback flanger, the delayed signal is flipped. The waveform is flipped or inverted from the source signal, and that gives it a characteristic sound. The positive sounding flanger is basically what it sounds like on Pioneer mixers. That's positive feedback flanger. So if you're looking for a Pioneer sounding flanger, you're going to want to use the positive feedback one. They both sound quite different. So let's take a look at a negative feedback one first. Let's do an 8 beats. Alright, let's get it on count. actually, I'm sorry, this is the positive feedback one, not the negative one. Adjust the depth knob. Okay, let's do a negative one now. Get it on count again. Okay, so that is the flanger effect, phaser. Phaser does not have any options, so it's just the one. That's all you get. Let's do an 8-beat one. Just the wet dry a little bit. Let's go down to 2 just for the heck of it. Okay, so that was the phaser effect. Let's change tracks here, and we're going to take a look at the bottom row, which is going to be the echo, robot, and reverb. Okay, so with the echo effect, again, you have your different types of echoes right here. You have a normal echo, an echo with a high-pass filter, a hold echo, and a hold echo with a high-pass filter. Now, the difference between the regular echoes and the hold echoes is basically with a hold echo, if you turn the depth knob all the way to max or 100%, the signal will basically feedback indefinitely, and it basically turns into an auto loop at that point, and it won't decay. Echo only goes up to about 70% with the feedback, so it'll eventually decay out. And then your options with the high-pass filter is, again, just you have a high-pass filter that you can use. If you use the time parameter knob, you can adjust the cutoff frequency for the filter. You can go pretty much down to 20 hertz, is basically sub-bass level, all the way up to 10 kilohertz, I believe. Yeah, 10 kilohertz, so that'll get pretty much rid of most of the track at that point. So we'll start off with a basic plain old echo, and let's start the track. This next one is from Aaron Carl, rest in peace, another Detroit DJ / producer. This track is called Down. Let me speed up just a little bit here. Alright, so we're going to do a plain old echo. Let's start with the 1-1 value, or 1-beat 1. Now, with the echo though, it works a little bit differently. You're going to want to start with the effect button on. You're going to use the flex effects button to actually turn on the echo and turn it off. And again, the echo is post fader as well. So let's take a listen to it. Okay, let's go down to a half-beat one. Okay, so that's the plain old echo. Let's go and take a look at an echo with a high-pass filter, and let's set it to about 3.25 kilohertz. Start off with a half-beat one as well. So you can hear the high-pass filter in the tail as it plays out. Okay, so let's go on to a hold echo next. Again, this is pretty much the same as a regular echo, except it has up to 100% feedback into it, so it's basically turned into a feedback loop or an endless loop. We'll start off not that quite high. We'll start off at 75%, and let's do, we'll do 3/4 on this one. What the heck? Okay, so let's turn it up to 100% now, and let's do a 1-beat one. Now, once you turn up to 100% and hold echo, it's basically just going to keep repeating it indefinitely, and it won't decay. You can keep adding on to it as well. You gotta be careful with that. That'll eventually start getting a little too out of control and crazy, so you just want to bring the depth knob a little bit back down. Okay, finally, let's take a look at a hold echo with a filter as well. Let's not do quite as much filter on it. Let's just do about 400 hertz. Now it sounds a little better that the high-pass filter isn't as steep and as rapid. Okay, so that was the echo. Let's move on to robot now, which is probably my least favorite effect. It's basically like a pitch shifter effect. Not much to it really, just turn the knob or the joystick. Okay, like I said, robot effect, probably not my favorite one. Probably my least favorite one. Not much useful for me, at least, but other people might find something useful for it. Finally, let's take a look at reverb, which is my favorite effect on the mixer as well. Again, you can use your time knob to select the percentage reverb you want to do, or you can use the joystick to jump in increments of 20. Let's start off with 50%. And again, this is reverb is another one I want to start with it on. You're going to use the flex effects button to basically turn the reverb on and off. Let's restart the track too, since it's a short track. Okay, we'll start off at about 75% depth at 50%. Again, it's post fader as well, so when you drop the fader or move the cross fader, basically it'll tail out. Okay, let's move it up a notch to about 70. Let's do 75%. Okay, let's move the depth all the way up to 100. You can hear the reverb is more intense, the tail is a lot stronger and lasts a lot longer as well. Okay, and finally let's get crazy and go 100% at 100%. So this is going to be a really long booming reverb with the super long tail. So with the flex button, it's good till you can punch in and out on just a specific sound or an instrument, like on that snare or the clap or the kick. You can kind of really dial in and just get that nice little reverb tail on that one element, like that. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's the hardware effects on the Rane 64. Again, pretty much the same as on the 62 and the 68. So really nothing new there. Just some small improvements with the LFO resyncing on the on button for the filter, flanger, and phaser. Next video, we're going to take a look at how to MIDI map the mixer to use the software effects in Serato DJ as well. Basically, if you hold the shift button, and I'm going to have to lift the camera up here, and if you hit the, my fingers can't reach, but if you hit the mic buttons up there at the top, I can't reach it. Basically, that'll turn this mic section into basically pure MIDI controls. It'll take the signal out of the path entirely, so you don't got to worry about the mic bleeding through or anything like that. So you can use these knobs for controlling the software effects in Serato DJ. We'll take a look at that in my next video.